Hi there, thanks for joining me today. I have a flip through of a journal I recently finished. This book approximately came from, I think, between 1932 and 1935. There was no publishing date inside it, but I did find it on a few antique books websites, and they had it listed as approximately 1932 to 1935. And sometimes they can tell that simply by the publishers, because sometimes publishers just came into business and went out of business, and you can even get an approximate publication date, even if you manage to get a publisher that didn't last very long. You can get a window of time. So it's old. Even though it didn't look old at first, we certainly had fun with it and made it look a little bit older, but we also, I think, made it look a little bit nicer. Now, let's get the measurements done so that you can see how big. It's a big girl. She's not quite 6.5 inches wide and 9.5 inches long. And then the spine is almost 2-inch spine. So this is a big book. There's approximately, I think there's a little bit more than 242 pages of differing sizes. And you can see here the title is still there, The Children's Hour, and it's nice and clear. And then down here, this is something new I did. I did my little antique sunshine that I tend to use a lot with my books, because Sunnyside Journals, and I coated it in what's the name of that stuff? Glossy accents, and I really like the way that turned out, just down at the bottom. And then on the cover, I took a little bit of inspiration from Johanna Clough and sort of cut a window and then put a vintage picture of a little girl on a swing. And there's a book plate here that can be changed. You can flip it over and put your own title on it if you don't want to just call it journal. But I just went ahead and put journal down. So you can make it whatever you like. And you'll see there's a sari silk ribbon tie, and it's very fluffy because I doubled up both sides. And from the top down, you'll see here that there is a hidden hollow back spine and some old, the lace itself is not too old, but I aged it to look old and raggedy and more fun, the way we like things. Plus, there's a ribbon bookmark in there so that you can move it about, because it's such a big journal. This is 9 signatures. So there's a lot of room for you to be writing in it, and in case you don't want to lose your spot, you'll have a ribbon to take you back to where you last left off. So let's get into this, shall we? I had every intention of starting this book, when I started this book, of having it be a Sunnyside skinny dip, meaning a nearly naked journal. Just empty pages for the new owner to fill. And then I can't control myself, and I ended up having fun. And so there's a bit more in it than was originally planned. So because the original intention was for it to be a skinny dip journal, I don't usually do a Two Nanas bookmark with my skinny dip journals. But the Two Nanas did find a way to get into this journal, so I think you'll enjoy that. The inside covers are pages from children's nursery rhyme books. And this one's Seesaw Marjorie Daw, And this side, I'm not sure, it just says a good night all, and I thought that was perfect for a last page. Those two tired children are going up to bed. They spent all day playing out in the farmers' fields, and by the time it was bedtime, they were ready to go, and so was their mother. So, as ever, I have there's a piece of vellum covering up the original first page, but I have added a vintage fussy cut from a Dick and Jane type reader from school days. And on the first page, she was in her room working in her scrapbook, and I thought, what a perfect first page for this journal. There's there's a theme of just fun vintage children, but it's ever so slight. I think it easily could be changed into a family journal, a recipe journal, that sort of thing. But it certainly would be suitable. Make a lovely gift for someone who's having a baby and wants to keep track of, stories about their child growing up, or if you've already had your family and you want to be writing stories about your fun family remembrances that you have of when your children were little. Anyhow, from this first page, she was in her room. So when I fussy cut her out, I noticed that she had these two pictures on her wall in her room. So I fussy cut those two and put them on the front page. And then here is where it says that it was printed in Great Britain, but it didn't give us any date. So a variety of pages. Here's some vintage ledger paper with some marbled paper and a bit of the offcut from the sari silk just on top as just a little collage, and some sewing on it. Lots of sewing through here, and lots of lace. Again, I didn't intend on it, and then it ended up lots of lace. Where possible, with the really old folios that I put in were from children's school textbooks, and I put the date. So this one is a math book from 1915. And then I had fun putting tags on it and some more fun sewing. Any tea-dyed paper that's in here, I did it myself. And then this is from a book on how to play the organ, learning how to play the organ, and it's from 1914. But I liked that there was still lots of room for writing. And then again, there's just lots and lots of fussy cutting of Dick and Jane type. I have a ton of vintage Dick and Jane books and children's reader books that have these beautiful, beautiful illustrations in them. And there's a little bit of Eloise Wilkin in here and a little bit of Beatrix Potter in here as well. And I had some fun just sewing and collaging and adding interesting ends. I think that's Sally with fluff. And on this tip-out page, I made it longer by adding a vintage flashcard. And you'll see here again, there's Dick and Sally with fluff. And I've put a little lace. That's actually a vintage paperclip. And on this side, I've put in a page from Through the Looking Glass where Alice is in the Garden of Live Flowers. So I just put that there because I can't leave things alone. This is actually a page out of an old Better Homes and Gardens, the cookbook, the famous red and white binder. And it's the vegetables page. So there's Sally running scared from the vegetables page. And I thought that was kind of fun. And the tab sticks out, so it looks nice. Every single signature has a folio from out of the book. And I will be sending some folios with the book to the new owner so that you can continue to maybe make some tags or use the pages. And again, here's Dick with some of his toys. Running on to the next the next signature. This is from the original text block, and it's The Ship of Dreams with a whole bunch of beautiful little babies. The illustrations in this book were lovely, and I tried my best to get all of them back into the book. And here's a page from a vintage typing text block, and a page from a Pitman's dictation course. I believe this is 1944. I think I've written it on the other side. This is a page from Home Remedies, a book I have on home remedies. I believe it's 1897. Again, I think it's on the other side. There's a little tuck spot here made from some leftover ledger paper. So what little kid didn't grow up playing Monopoly? So I put some Monopoly cards in there. And some more sewing and some a little tear edge from out of an old dictionary, a little tab with a bee on it. That was from some Happy Mail. And on this side I put a price tag and then a little tiny label on it. And here's the page from that book. I will go back and write the year from this, because I believe it's either 1894 or 1897. And you know what? I'm going to go do that right now. Okay, so I was right on one of them. It was 1897. So I'm going to write that down here. I always just do it in pencil, so if you don't want it there, you can erase it. And here's the Pitman, 1937, so it's older than I thought. This is also out of the original text block. And down here, I just made a little tag sticking out, some more offcuts from the Sari silk. And then this actually, I believe it fell out of the text block when I was going through it. And it said the Ogilvy's, the friendly store. And I just thought that was really cute. So I had to put it back into the book. And then there's, I know one of them's name is Pam. And I forget what the other little girl's name is, the twins. But I thought they were cute. So they went into a page out of a Beatrix Potter daybook for July. This vellum page was from the original text block, so I turned it sideways and put it in. This is out of a vintage school text book on science, and you can see where it was the kind of book that was bound from the top down. And they're terrible to try and undo, take apart. This is from the original text block. It was all poetry for children, and some of them were quite frightening. A lot of the poems and stories written back then were meant to scare children into behaving themselves. And boy, they sure would have scared me. Again, some more just sewing and gluing on little pieces here and there onto pages. And then this page is also from an old typing manual. And I learned how to type on a typewriter that looked just like that. These were pushing down the manual keys really forced you to get a rhythm to your typing, because you could get when the keys came up to hit the paper, the carbon tape and the paper, if you hit two keys at once, they could get stuck together, and wowie. But I learned on one of those, and I was able to get my typing speed up to 85 words per minute accurate. So here we go through there, and there's a little pig. I think that's from Pigling Bland. Another little tip out, and there's some more Dick and Jane, and a little splotch that was sent to me by a wonderful person. This was from a new old book that I recently got. So I borrowed some of the folios out of it from Robert Louis Stevenson. And the artwork is just so beautiful. And it's this same book that I took this this picture out of. And a little bit of tea-dyed paper sewn onto there. This was from the original text block, and I made a pocket out of it. And there's Mother making some cookies. Again, out of the the typing textbook. And then some a vintage card game, and then a tea-dyed library card that I just put on that. That's again a vintage. I didn't rust that myself. Mother Nature and Father Time did that. And here's your permanent ribbon bookmark that can go anywhere in the book that you want. I put this in loose so that you can put it where you want. I thought I'd leave it sort of, since the illustrations all seem to be vintage, 40s, 50s, and 60s, the books were. That looked a little vintagey to me rather than antique. So I put it in here, but you can glue it in wherever you want to so that this book belongs to. I thought that was kind of a cute thing to add in. And again, tons of room for you to make it your own. Lots of blank pages. And here's just a little tip in, sort of some extra paper that I had, and a little word snippet says home. It felt like home. And then some more with Sally and Dick playing down at the bottom of that page, and some lace sewn on. This is from an old book I have from 1857. I believe that was from Marmaduke that I made years back, a couple of years back. This is from a 1950s stamp book. I left all the center folds for you, which is hard for me to do. Come be a king with me. Oh my. This was also from the original text block, Grace Before Meat. So she's saying her little grace before she has something to eat. And then this blank page was actually in the original text block as well. You can see where the bands were to hold the text block in place. So I simply trimmed it to tidy it up and tucked it into that spot for you. Here's where I put the two nanas here, and it's actually, here, let's put something in it. It actually is also a tuck spot. So we'll leave that there. That's a little, I think it comes from a game that also teaches you how to read. And this side as well is a tuck spot. This is from a I believe 1940s sticker book that I found that was from Denmark. So I thought she was kind of cute. And it's also a little flip out. And some more lace sewn on, lots of sewing. Here's from an original, I think, Crazy Eights kind of game. You matched it up. So there's Bagpipe Barney and Ballet Betty. So they're there. This bulldog clip was shiny silver, brand new. I rusted it myself. But I tied on some little cloth ribbon that I recently got from Happy Meal, and I like the way that turned out. This is another blank page that was in the original text block, so I included it. So that's what I mean by how, although it has 242 pages, it really in a way has more, because that's a full page that you can glue in wherever you want. And this page I particularly liked because it has the poem by John McCrae, who was a Canadian physician who served in the First World War. It's certainly very well known in Canada. I hope worldwide. Our children usually end up memorizing it. We certainly did when I was growing up, where it's in Flanders fields, poppies blow between the crosses, row on row. I actually have family buried over in Flanders fields that served and gave all. This little fellow was in the book twice, so I assumed that the man who compiled all this poetry really wanted him in. It's a painting by Edouard Manet. So I put him in like a plate because I love the poem Winkin', Blinkin' and Nod, and I didn't want to cover it up. So this can be folded back and written on the back, and he's there. And I thought it was appropriate because of the Flanders fields. There's another poem about Flanders field. And then this is actually a map of France where Flanders fields are. And speaking of him, he was also on the cover. That's what I mean by he was in it twice, and the original cover was still on the book, which I think thinks what kept it in such good condition. The owner took really good care mending the dust jacket, so I will be sending this along with the book to the new owner, in addition to some extra pages that they can do with as they wish. Again, this is from a Ladybird book from England, a children's school type book. And more, I think that's England. And then over here, my beloved Ireland. So that's there. And there's Winkin', Blinkin' and Nod. And then that's actually Dad hanging upside down off the playground. And I put a tab up here so you can. And I didn't label it, which took a lot of strength for me. And a little tab with some tea-dyed lace up there. This is from a vintage children's book. A little kitty cat on there. He was looking for the right home for him. And he did find it by the end, don't worry. I hate to spoil it for you, but he does find his right home. And just a little, it's wrapping paper, but it's like an old antique map. So I made a ruffle out of that and sewed it on. And then here's Pat a Cake, Baker's Man. So there's Sally getting the tea set out to have cake. And this new ribbon that I got recently, not new, it's new to me, is red with white polka dots on it, just like her dress. So I made a little tab, and then I made a rusty safety pin, and I tried my best to just make a word that would fit onto the pin, and yes, fit. So yes, it is. That's positive. Some more lace sewn on there. This is from Ready Reckoner, which was the old-fashioned version of a calculator, and it's from 1916. And then this is from a book on grammar from 1879, and you can see the original owner had written their own notes in it, which I love when you have the original students' handwriting inside of it. On this tip out with some sewing, there's a tea-dyed Rolodex card, and then there's Sally looking back at whatever you're going to put on that page. On this little page, there's a poem here said, "Come, let's to bed." And there's another poem up here called Dreamers. So that's why I put a little picture from Eloise Wilkin there of that little baby going to sleep. And then here's an actual vintage birthday card. Happy birthday, 2-year-old. Isn't that beautiful? Gosh, I wish they still made cards like this. And I love it because it must have come from up there. There are several areas outside of Quebec that are still strongly French. I know here in Ontario, Welland is strongly French, the Welland and Thorold area. And around Ottawa is strongly French. And so you can see that the little person who received this for their second birthday had French relatives, because even though the card is in English, the handwriting from Tante May, so Tante May was in French. So I thought that was cute. I was looking for the right journal to include that card in. And here's the other side of that book. Oh, a little stamping there. And a little tab. some tea-dyed music composition paper. And there's Sally again. She's in here a lot. And another page from out of the Robert Louis Stevenson book. And the back side was blank, which I love because that leaves it for you. More room for you. And Dick learning how to play baseball. This is, talk about using everything that you come across when you're pulling books apart. Although it wasn't from this book, this was from a book that I took apart and cut all the signatures out of. This was a really old one because this was crunchy. But I knew I'd want to use it one day. And this was the book that got it. This is a page, again, from out of the Dick and Jane book, but I just loved all the screen backing. There's room there for journaling or collaging, or you can fussy cut that if you want. Little stamping up there. Page out of a 1940s dictionary, and another picture of Dick playing. This is a vintage postcard that maybe the child saved because it was cute. It said, "Hi kids," and then it said, "Love, Mother, and we'll be home in no time for the ball game." And it was going to Tempe, Arizona. Anyhow, this is antique lace here, so I sewed it around the edge, and you can use that as a tuck spot. This was from a 1940s tax guide for Canada. It was the whole book, so it must have been for an accountant. 1949. And again, it's either Pam or her sister. I'm not sure which one. On this side, I used the whole page to create a pocket. And then this is a 1930s order form from Tasty Cake. And I received a whole pad of those from my crafty crush sent me that. So I thought the blue matched the blue swimming pool. I had one of those blow-up swimming pools growing up. A little tab made from a sewing measuring tape, and a little more of the sari silk, and a little more of the marbled paper. And then on this side of the page, there's a tip out of, this is from Pigling Bland, and there was a poem here called Paul the Pig. So I thought that was kind of appropriate to put that there and give some journaling space. And the other side of the dictionary. And then again, another pocket from the Dick and Jane book. And then this is a page from some old books. They would advertise other books you can purchase in the back of the book. So I keep those too, just because they're fun, and you can make journaling cards out of them, and they're interesting. So I tucked that there. And there's a little tip out here. And I thought this was appropriate at the end of the book. There's Dad riding on the little car. We had one of those growing up. Ours was red. And he's waving goodbye. So, and then this little boy is actually the little boy in the original picture. He was pushing her, if you didn't see that video. So I put him on the last page because in a way it almost looks like he's waving goodbye as well. And there were lots of pages that said the Children's Hour, so I made use of all of them and put this one in at the end. And then again, because this started off being a Sunnyside journal, I simply signed it right there with my CABC and 2024. So that's the Children's Hour, and this will be available in my Etsy shop later this afternoon. So today is Sunday, September. It'll be down in the comments, and most likely around 5:30 New York time. I try to list my books at that time. So, but I'll confirm it down below in the comments when you see this video. The time that it will be listed will be in the comments, but plan on around 5:30 in my Etsy shop, and the link will be there as well if you're interested in this book. I hope you'll go over and take a look, and otherwise I hope you just enjoyed having a look through of my started off skinny dip book that ended up planned on being nearly naked and ended up being quite busy and quite full. I just can't stop myself, but it was too much fun. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.